Hi everyone, this is Aki with another quick video on how to work with Adobe Acrobat and some of the export options that you have. So I have this document here, and this is like a good document to have because it has some tables, text, different things that you might want to use in other content or so on. And so if you want to export this PDF, so let's say the options to get to the export sections, there are two different ways. One is on the right side, there are these icons, and if you don't know what they are, you can hover over them or click this triangle. And here you have this export PDF option. Now I like to actually go to the menu at the top by Acrobat and actually go to export, because then I see all the options then and then the sub options for each. So the few things that I use the export option for are mainly for images. So the images that you can create from your PDF can be in 4 different formats: JPEG, JPEG 2000, TIFF, and PNG. So let's just click JPEG. So once you have this option, and once you're saving it, you can just save it directly, but then you're not sure what's the pixelation, the resolution of the picture. So one way to make sure it is what you like is click the settings box or button in the bottom of the menu. So here you can specify the quality that you want, or you can actually specify the resolution. So I like to use the resolution just to make sure, let's say if something is going to be printable, to make sure that it's going to be it's not going to be blurry and so on. So if I save this as default 72 pixels per inch, it might be blurry if I print this. So I like to save it at 600 because that gives me a room so later on to reduce the pixels versus, it's harder to go up. So I'll just use that option and click OK, and then I save. And this is exporting and saving the JPEG, but it's note that it is saving. I have a document of 6 pages and it saved it into 6 images. So each of the image is a separate, each of the pages from PDF, it's a separate image, and you can see all my images are saved as separate files. So that's one thing that I use a lot, the export option, because there's so much flexibility. Another option is, let's say if you have this document PDF and you want to export it to Microsoft Word. So that's another option that I use somewhat a lot. Now there's always settings options for each of these exports options, so you can double click and check what other buttons and check marks you can select to do what you want. And I just leave the settings as they are for Word and click save. And sometimes if you have an option in preference to open right away after you export, you might open the document in Word or Excel, like not Excel, but just Word or any other document that you're saving it to. So just open in Word, and you see it looks very clean. It looks exactly, and these are saved as tables. They were tables, so they are saved in tables, and you can convert them to text in Word if you like. So I'm going to close this and let me show you another way to export. If you want to export a spreadsheet, you can export as Microsoft Excel workbook. Now I do want to mention, and you can go to settings and see if you want to save each of the pages as a separate worksheet or the same worksheet. So I'm just going to use the default. Now I do want to mention that sometimes it's not very useful necessarily to convert certain PDFs to Excel. Like you see this one, it's just mumbo jumbo, honestly. Like, okay, it's not bad, but some of these things can be merged. The layouts, there's like lines that are like objects and so on. So it's not the the things that I use the most, the export option in Acrobat, but it might be useful for you for other reasons. So now let's go back to Adobe and see what else we can export it to. You can export it to Power Presentation. So that's another option. You can select settings to see, what else you want to include, like your comments, recognize text if needed. So that might be useful. And let's save it and see how. You see right away it's going to be opening. It's converting, and right away it's opening for me. And I have presentation, and what it does is basically each of the PDF pages is converted to a presentation page, this is pretty useful and really great. It is saved as let me see if I can see. I can't change certain things. I can actually, so it's not saved as an image, it's actually saved as like a text that's already formatted in tables and so on. So this is really useful, because if you had to do it, or even if you had to convert it to images and then move them to PowerPoint, that's another step. So this is really useful if you want to do that. So let me close that. I'm not going to save. Another option to export, let me see. HTML web page. I don't really use that, but maybe you have something that you want to publish as a website that might be very helpful. So let's just see how this will come out if we open it. So you will see that this is saving like a file with a lot of the content that was included in the PDF in a separate folder. So now let's just double click the HTML document and see. Okay, it's already actually moved it to another monitor. Let me bring it up here so you see it. And you can see that it's not very friendly. So this would require a lot of work to do anything with this. So that's why I don't really use this option. But maybe for certain documents, you might, like let's say it's a alt text, it might come out better. Let me actually open a folder that I have. So I have a PDF of Jane Austen's Emma book, and let's try to save this, and this is primarily text. So let's save this, export this as HTML web page, and see if that will come out better than what we had with our prior document. Okay, now let me bring it on the screen. So I guess it's like just a starting point. You can't expect this to really be formatted extremely well, but it's a good starting point. If you do have it, maybe you can change the sizing and margins and so on, and at least you don't have to retype and copy paste all the time. So that's an option for certain users, but probably not as many as with some of these other options. Now let me see what other export options we have. Now you can also export as rich text format or just plain text. So plain text will basically just convert everything that we have here as just text. So you will not have, you don't have any tables and so on. You just have all the text from the PDFs. So basically these are the main options in exporting your document into other applications. Thanks for watching.